the Art Box Podcast, where creativity lives, but more importantly, where stories are told. I'm your host, Steve, and here we believe every piece of art carries a story, and every artist has one worth sharing. From theater and song to archaeology and to our public lands, we explore the many ways creativity shows up in the world around us. Because I'm always happy to view a work of art, but I'm never fully satisfied until I've heard the story behind it. That's what we're all about, unpacking the journeys, the moments, the people, and the meaning that bring art to life. So whether you're an artist, a storyteller, or simply curious, pull up a chair. Let's open the box.
Oh, effortlessly beautiful. That's Venus and being you.
Good day, it's your slightly over-caffeinated, always curious research assistant Addie, reporting in from somewhere between a well-loved library shelf and a eucalyptus tree that's seen more than its fair share of philosophical debates. And today, I've gone traveling, not across oceans or deserts, but through a toll booth. Not just any toll booth. No, the toll booth. Today's journey takes us into the Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, a book that was recommended to us by author Brian Rouff, whose upcoming conversation with Steve you'll hear shortly. And let me just say, when a storyteller recommends a story like this, you pay attention. Because this one, it's not just a children's book. It's a quietly brilliant map of how to wake up to the world. We begin with Milo. Milo is bored. Not the I've got nothing to do this afternoon kind of bored, but the deeper, heavier kind. The kind where everything feels pointless, where learning seems dull, where time stretches out like an endless road with no scenery. And then, quite suddenly, a mysterious package appears in his room. Inside, a toll booth. Now I don't know about you, but if a toll booth just appeared in my living room, I'd have questions. Addie would absolutely have questions. Possibly a clipboard, maybe a small investigative committee. But Milo, he shrugs, assembles it, and drives through. And just like that, everything changes. On the other side lies the lands beyond. A place that feels like it was built out of language itself. A place where ideas have weight, where words twist and dance, and where logic is both essential and completely unreliable. This is where the book begins to unfold in all its strange and wonderful glory. Milo meets Tark, a watchdog who ticks like a clock, a gentle reminder that time is always moving, whether we notice it or not. He travels through the doldrums, where thinking is illegal and nothing ever happens, which, frankly, feels like a place we've all visited once or twice without realizing it. He encounters the terrible Trivium, who traps travelers in endless busy work, tasks that feel productive, but lead nowhere. And I must admit, I felt personally attacked. I've reorganized my notes 3 times this week alone. And then there's the great debate. The kingdom of wisdom split between those who value words and those who value numbers. A divide that feels oddly familiar, even in our modern world. Art versus science, feeling versus logic, creativity versus calculation. But of course, the truth is never that simple. Because beneath all the humor and wordplay, the Phantom Tollbooth is asking something much bigger. What happens when we stop paying attention? And what happens when we start again? Milo's journey is not really about traveling to a magical land. It's about learning how to see. At the beginning, he believes nothing is interesting. Everything feels flat, unimportant, disconnected. But as he moves through this strange world, meeting characters, solving problems, getting wonderfully confused, something begins to shift. He starts to notice, he starts to care, he starts to ask questions. And with each step, the world becomes richer, brighter, more alive. One of my favorite threads running through the book is the idea that knowledge itself is not dry or lifeless, but magical. That words are not just tools, but living things. That numbers are not just calculations, but expressions of wonder. And perhaps most importantly, that curiosity is not something we are born with and lose. It's something we can choose. Again and again. There's a moment in the story when Milo is given a simple task that seems impossible, rescuing rhyme and reason. It sounds grand and mythical, like something out of an epic tale. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that rhyme and reason aren't just characters. They are balance. They are understanding. They are the ability to make sense of the world without losing its mystery. And maybe, just maybe, they are something we are all trying to rescue in our own way. Now, I'll be honest with you. Somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like I was reading a children's book and started feeling like I was being gently reminded of something I'd forgotten. That even the most ordinary things, a word, a number, a quiet moment, a question, can be extraordinary if we let them be. Even here, in Australia, watching the light shift through gum leaves or listening to the distant thump of a kangaroo crossing the scrub, it's easy to slip into Milo's kind of boredom, to let the world blur into the background. But this book nudges you, softly, playfully, and says, look again. So, what's Addie's final verdict? The Phantom Tollbooth is whimsical, yes. It's clever, absolutely. It's filled with puns and wordplay that will make your brain do joyful little somersaults. But more than anything, it's a reminder that the world is far more interesting than we give it credit for. That learning is not a chore, but an adventure. And that curiosity is the key that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. By the end of Milo's journey, he realizes something profound. He doesn't need the lands beyond to feel alive, because the real world, this world, is already full of wonder. He just needed to see it. And perhaps that's why Brian Rouff suggested this book, because great storytellers know something important. Before we can tell meaningful stories, we have to be awake enough to notice them. All right, I'm off to conduct a highly scientific study on whether kangaroos appreciate metaphor. Early results suggest they prefer rhythm, but I'm not ruling anything out. Back to you, Steve, and to our listeners, stick around. Up next, a conversation with the very author who pointed us toward this curious little tollbooth in the first place. Until then, remember, sometimes the most ordinary things are the most extraordinary, if you just look at them the right way. Thank you all for tuning in to my first solo Artbox episode. Addie.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Artbox podcast. We're recording from our home studio inside the Mesquite Steam Center, right here in the beautiful Mojave Desert, where creativity and curiosity meet under wide open skies. From the written word and poetry to collage, brush art, pencil, ink, fabric, and pottery, from theater and song to archaeology in our public lands, we celebrate the many ways creativity shows up in the world around us. You can find us on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Boomplay, or your favorite podcast app. We'd love to hear from you. Find us at theartboxpodcast.com. Drop us a note anytime at artboxvv@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, and subscribe. And don't forget to tell your friends so they can join the conversation too. Most importantly, take a moment to follow and support the artists and creative souls who join us here, because their stories are what make the Artbox come alive. This is Daisy, and until next time, keep creating, keep exploring, and keep sharing your story.